Today, I'm coming to you with something that may or may not interest you. I started this channel originally with the intention of going over more retro games, more classic video games, and trying to get people into that. So, more throwback to the origins of this channel today. I'd like to tier list these classic consoles and handhelds. And I'm just hoping you'll enjoy this, hoping we'll find middle ground with this video. Some of my opinions may or may not be controversial, I don't know, fight me in the comments. But, yeah, we're just gonna go in and start here with the, well, okay, first, I should mention, I've never done a tier list video before, so if this just seems, out of whack for a YouTuber, please excuse me. It is my first time doing a tier list video. Never done this before. Thought about it when it was relevant, but never got around to it. Too much of a... Really didn't want to try. No, I wanted to, but never took the initiative. Anyway, I should stop yammering. Yeah, there are 5 tiers, S, A, B, C, D. Yeah. Why is S at the top, and why do they skip so many letters going from A? I have no idea. That's just the way tier lists work. This is a tier maker tier list, because I actually didn't want to produce one myself. Anyway, without further ado, starting off with the 3D, that's E tier, enough said. Any game console by Panasonic. Like, I'm not the guy to say, stick to CD makers, stick to VHS players. I'm all for tech companies, branching out, doing whatever consumer electronic stuff they can. But Panasonic could have done infinitely better with the 3DO, and yeah, that console, a limited library, such faulty games, and really a disappointment of a library and a system in general. I think this was the one you had to daisy link the controllers with, but that might be the CDI, I don't know. But yeah, nonetheless, that belongs in the lowest tier possible. If there were anything lower than E, I'd like to see it. Also, if we're counting down from A up here, shouldn't S be on the... Anyway, Atari 2600, that's... Yeah, that's gotta be A tier. I'm feeling S tier, but there's just so little interactivity with that system. I mean, it came out in, the late 70s, and video games had just gotten past, or at least we're trying to get out from the wood age, because you see, it's still got a little wood on, the actual spaceship itself. So, yeah, most Pong consoles featured wood on them back in those days. But this was a major step in video gaming from where video gaming was before Atari came out with this system. And it really introduced a lot of people to household gaming. It was a simple but, fun system. It didn't have to be complicated for you to have fun on it. I mean, I've had so many memorable experiences with this. Yeah, it's an A tier system, possibly an S tier. I think we'll figure it out once we go along with this, but yeah, S tier system, or I guess A to S tier system, honestly. I don't know. Atari 5200, I actually encounter a lot of people that say they enjoy the 5200. It's okay. People constantly shit on the system for the controllers, saying they're phone pads, dial-up modems to another dimension. Yeah, they constantly make jokes about that. I think having a controller that complex from what the 2600 was such like a complicated step up. This was too simple. This was overcomplicated, but the overcomplication like exclusively came from hooking the system up and its controller. But it had a takeable library of games, unacceptable, a satisfactory library of games, if you will. You know, schools, whenever report cards come out, use that word. So, a satisfactory console. More want to put it in B tier. C tier's kind of like unmerciful to that, but it'll stay in B tier for now. We'll learn as we go along. 7800. This was pretty fun. I think it did a good job competing with, I guess, the NES at the time. It was backwards compatible with the 2600. Why not the 5200? I don't know. But if we're talking exclusively the 7800 and not its Pro system, I think that's an A tier. Yeah. That, like, under the 26... Well, it did have advanced technology, so... And that kind of put it at an unfair advantage compared to this one, but it's still under the 2600 in A tier. We'll learn as we go along. Guitar Link's... not D or E tier. C. Such a bulky handheld. Basically a proto Wii U, except exclusively handheld and not a console. But yeah, not a big library of games, not a small library of games either. Wasn't anything super influential in the handheld market, but, you know, it made its lasting impact, and I wouldn't disagree with someone if they said they enjoyed it, you know? Or if they thought it was a good handheld system, honestly. Again, kind of overcomplicated and a step up from most everything like the 5200, but, you know, it was what it was. Not the almighty of handhelds, but not the worst either. A satisfactory, again, yeah, I sound like broken record. Satisfactory handheld here. Jaguar, or as some people pronounce Jaguar, those people need to check themselves into some rehab facility because I don't know what they're doing with the English language. Not E tier, but like E tier is just the worst of the worst. But Jaguar, so many compatibility issues, overcomplicated controllers, limited library of games. The games weren't amazing by any means, but yeah, that system was what it was. It came and went pretty much instantly. So many compatibility issues with that. Heard a lot of people that have not liked that system. It may change up to C tier, but, you know. Bally Astrocade. Another Pong console going off the ColecoVision and Intellivision. Well, was it a Pong console? No, it took cartridges, didn't it? Yeah. C tier. One of the less talked about earlier home video game consoles that wasn't a Pong console, but, you know. I'm feeling C tier. Above the Lynx, obviously, but not B tier. Coleco Telstar, okay, this was a unique one. Have you ever heard of a pyramid-like video game console with triangular cartridges that snapped onto the top of it? I haven't either. A hoot and a holler of a system, honestly. Albeit limited library of games, because who's gonna make games for this thing? Am I drunk? I never really think properly. Anyway, Coleco Telstar. Yeah. I'm feeling either ladder B tier or above C tier. I'm feeling generous to this one, so I'll put it in B tier. Yeah, ColecoVision. The ColecoVision and Intellivision, I did enjoy. They have their merit. Yeah, like full library of games, fun system, controllers could be better, but you know, it was what it was. And it made its lasting good impact on the gaming market going forward after, I think, when was it released? The early 80s? Yeah, and that system was what it was. Definitely a respectable system. Definitely not A tier, but at the very top of B tier. And that could change once we, like, finalize this. There's an Arcadia 2001... yeah, latter half of B tier. Again, you know, another Pong console. I don't know if it came after the ColecoVision. Well, not a Pong console. I'm pretty sure it took cartridges, but somewhat finite library of games. But the games were respectably decent on that one, and I could empathize with somebody putting in A tier or B tier if they really enjoyed it that much. And Tech Select a game. It's not above Bally Astrocade, but definitely above the Lynx. These arcade style things. C tier, yeah. I hope you can, like, agree with me on that, because, yeah, maybe above the, above the Lynx. Epic GPC, another handheld. We've got a lot of handhelds on this tier list. Maybe below the NTEX. Possibly above the NTEX. It would a decently fun handheld. Not as good as, like, I guess the Game Boy or what were those pre-Game Boy Nintendo handhelds called? They're somewhere in this tier list, but yeah, they're not called Walkmans. That's just another 80s thing. I don't know what those pre-Game Boy Nintendo, like, mini games were called that you could play in your hands, but yeah, it's pretty good there. Fairchild's Channel F. I think it came after, like, Fairchild's Pong console. Maybe this took cartridges. I do not remember. There were a lot of untalked about consoles on this list, but man. Above or below the Bally? Yeah, definitely above these three. Or four. I can't count either. Suck at speaking and math, yeah. It's a miracle I graduated. Well, I cheated my way through. Anyway, Intellivision, another respectable system. These two aren't. Maybe I could bump this up to, but definitely these two are above the 5200 and the Telstar Arcade, but I don't know. Magnavox Audi, technically, see, I cannot speak. I may have something wrong with. Well, it's obviously I have something wrong with me. Anyway, I'm not a doctor. Hit up Todd Grande for some sort of evaluation. Anyway, Magnavox Odyssey, technically the first home video game system. Quite primitive. Home video gaming on consoles. Probably didn't know what they were gonna be at such an early point. But yeah, respectable, not A tier, but made their lasting impact. Definitely above these three. See, I counted right this time. Above these three, below the Coleco and Intellivisions, but yeah, I think it could have been better even for such an early console, but yeah, it did make its lasting impact. Odyssey 2, is a step up from its original predecessor. Yeah. Technically not a Pong console. I'm pretty sure it did have cartridges in it. Speaking of cartridges, the cartridges, quote unquote, for this were just chips, you know. Treat them around like some Pokemon, you know. I'll trade you 2 2s for a 1 cartridge. Yeah, they were like numbered cartridges. They didn't have the names of the game on them, but yeah, again, you can excuse the fact that it was the first video game console for that. But Odyssey 2 was absolutely a step up. Could have been better, honestly. It could have been better. I don't want to downgrade it to D tier, because yeah, that's just too much, but yeah, it absolutely deserves the latter half of C tier. And yeah, you would have thought this was a Microsoft product had it not been marketed as a handheld video game console. Typical mid to late 90s, early 2000s thing, you know? Yeah, that's pretty good. Neo Geo, okay, yeah, yeah, in the upper half of B tier, yeah, respectable system. People talk about that much less than, like, Atari, but still, you know, it had its lasting impact. People enjoyed it, and although it's an albeit less talked about part of retro gaming history, it's still, you know, a good chunk of it that I think deserves to be discussed. Neo Geo Pocket, oh man, not the lower half of B tier, but yeah, above the Atari and Neo Geo Pocket Color. Virtually, yeah, the same system here, but color a step above the Neo Geo Pocket, probably because it had better technology, but it was the more enjoyable system, in my opinion. The Wii. I don't know if... See, the Wii was a huge part of my childhood, and if you saw my Me series video, you'll absolutely know what I'm talking about. Is that the Wii Fun? That's pretty cool. Anyway, you'll absolutely know what I'm talking about when I said the Wii was a part of my childhood. Sounded like a broken record in that video, because I was just trying to pad for the length of the video, because YouTube likes longer form content. So, yeah, the Wii... Like, they say the music you listen to when you're a young child, specifically in your pre-teens, is gonna be the best music of your life. And looking back on it, the Wii isn't the best console of my life, but absolutely had its place in gaming history. I don't know if it's above the Atari. It's not in between. I'm very weary about this one. I'm considering putting it above the Atari, but I don't know. That'll definitely be adjusted, I think. 3DS, yeah. Definitely a step above the original DS, yeah. Library games, I was somewhat underwhelmed by, but yeah, respectable handheld. Very decent. the Wii U was actually when I owned and had, you know, the opportunity to play on extensively. But so much of it just sucks. It has a special part in my heart, but so much of it just sucks, man. I just hate. It deserves this spot, but I hate to. It's worth checking out if you're, like, super interested in gaming. Also, I'm planning on doing, like, a new gamer's introduction guide into video gaming as a whole. But, yeah, I hate to do that. It's gonna be there. Switch A tier. Yeah. Like, had you told me at the beginning of this 2017 that the Switch would be one of my most favorite game consoles of all time, if not my most favorite, I would have thought you delusional. I would have told you to check into the same place people pronounce Jaguar as Jaguar, or checking themselves into, because continuity, because I thought it was just this basic idea that anybody can thought of, and because of some sort of corporate consolidation or patent loopholes, Nintendo had somehow gotten to the idea first. But I would think I was just being kind of bitter and cynical about that. Yeah, it's... And to an extent, I feel that way sometimes. Like, I have this privilege, this luxury of playing with such high-tech console, especially compared to what gaming used to be. Which, oddly enough, what gaming used to be is right next to it. But, yeah, I just do feel it is this piece of plastic glass and two other pieces of plastic and buttons sometimes, but I do kind of get this feeling, you know, of, you know, yeah, it's both a handheld and a home console at the same time, you know. Anybody could have thought of it, maybe, if they just took enough time to brainstorm, but oh, no holler of a system nonetheless. NES, top of A tier, possibly S tier. Alright, so Game Boy. Yeah, probably an A tier, honestly. I mean, it was pretty innovative, and the games on it were pretty great. Pretty great. I do think the Game Boy Color is the superior handheld, but this was pretty innovative, even for a step up from what Nintendo had in terms of handhelds before that. Yeah, I mean, again, it's like the NES with, you know, just two buttons and a D-pad, but yeah, pretty innovative. Classic. You can't compete with its originality, with its nostalgia, you know? It's got a lot of value to it in that way. SNES, yeah, A tier. It looks like a retro game console. It plays like one. The games on it are amazing. Such a full library. Definitely a step up in graphics technology from the NES. Gameplay, yeah, well, it's debatable. I don't think you can generalize with every game on the NES, but in mass, like, applying it to most games on the SNES, not in terms of gameplay, but in terms of, yeah, computing, graphics quality, definitely, yeah. Virtual, this one had a pretty much non-existent library to it. It was a complete flop in terms of a virtual reality console. It completely missed its mark. It failed in pretty much every regard. It's not E tier. It's not E tier, but yeah. That just missed the mark so hard. Because at that point, VR gaming didn't know what it was gonna be at that point. I think it was maybe the late 90s. I might be wrong about that. But yeah, Virtual Boy, man, non-existent library. I guess virtual reality gaming wouldn't have been what it is today without the Virtual Boy pointing out what not to do, but yeah, just a flop of a system in general. And 64... A tier. Yeah, A tier. Definitely nowhere near B tier, but, you know. Maybe I should bump these up. I don't know. Game Boy Color, superior to the Game Boy, because it has color, you know. I love colors, ADHD ridden. Game Boy Advance, yeah. If you want me to buy anything, just put tons of colors on it. That's all you have to do. Game Boy Advance, a step up, but was the library as full and extensive? Top of B tier, bottom of A tier. Yeah, bottom of A tier. I'm thinking, yeah. I found the controllers a little bit uncomfy, but I mean, it's a cool idea, cool discs, cool design, but the library of games, it wasn't that big of a step up from the N64. The system failed for Nintendo. Lower half of B tier. Yeah. Maybe it's above the 5200. Yeah, but yeah. Alright. No DS. I have a DSi, or had a DSi, not a DS, during my childhood. And, yeah, the DS, I was underwhelmed by the DS. The DSi was what truly got me into handheld gaming from a young age, but, not C tier, but, yeah. Below the 5200. Maybe I'll have to rethink about that one. CDI, E tier. Yeah. 3DO and yeah. You don't even have to think about those two to categorize them. PlayStation, it was like it didn't know what it was gonna be at the time. And it was kind of this more experimental thing for Sony going forward, but yeah, bottom half of B tier. Underwhelming, especially compared to today's. Well, okay, we've got like an 80s console and a 70s console, the NES and the Atari at the top, but personally, I'm kind of underwhelmed by the original PlayStation. PS2, I have some nostalgic memories with this. Slight bit of a step up from the PlayStation, but yeah, definitely not the top of B tier. It was a bit underwhelming. Didn't they? I think they still had the wire controllers. Yeah, that was a downside to it, and the library wasn't that stimulating for me. PSP, PlayStation Portable, that actually sounds like an oxymoron. It was okay. I mean, the library wasn't that extensive. The games were sort of fun. Most of them were. Is it below the game? Yeah, I'll put it there. PS3, it's better half of A tier. Maybe not in between the in between the Ataris, or behind it. It's a really good system, a really good, sleek, memorable, got so many people into gaming in the 2000s. That might change. PS Vita, yeah. Acceptable, yeah, satisfactory. Better than the PSP, but yeah. PS4, ooh, I don't know if it's better than the PlayStation 3, but goddamn, it's a good system, not gonna lie, but yeah, quality graphics, amazing gameplay. Side note, I cannot stand PlayStation controllers. A lot of other people seem to find them nice. I just find them really uncomfortable and in need of redesign. I much rather prefer the Xbox's controllers. Don't really prefer either or as a console. I prefer the Switch's controllers and system as a console, but yeah, I just do not like PlayStation controllers. I haven't experienced the PS5s yet, but has it been changed since the PlayStation 4? I don't know. Yeah. Above the PlayStation, yeah, below the PlayStation 3. SG-1000, typical Sega Pong console. It wasn't bad by any means, but not worse than the Wii. Well, it was a good Pong console, good for what it was. Yeah. It's super aesthetic. It's super 80s. I wonder. Post in the comments when the SG-1000 came out, because it does look super 80s. Like a video game console version of Pepsi Clear. It has that exact color scheme. Don't lie to me about that. Sega Master System, yeah, I really like this system. Under-talked about, under-remembered in retro gaming. Was it better than the NES, though? I think it was in terms of game, yeah. Might be the best system on this list. Yeah, top of S tier, honestly. I was thinking about putting it in A tier, but it was just so good. It came out technically after the NES. I think might be wrong about that, but yeah, wonderful gameplay, wonderful graphics, the color on that system. Yeah, I love the design of this system. Yeah, such good gameplay. Genesis, yeah, better half of A tier. SNES. Was it better than the SNES? Well, the games I like less on the Genesis. But yeah, definitely above the PS3, under the 7800. Was it in between the 7800? Nah. Yeah. Games, ugh. I don't enjoy this as much as the late 80s, early 90s handhelds. I hate to do this to Sega, but bottom half of B tier, but yeah. I was not impressed by the Game Gear. The Saturn, yeah, bottom half of B tier. Library was virtually non-existent. I don't think they should have spent money on a 32-bit system. Is it under the GameCube though? Yeah. Bottom half of B tier. Yeah. Library was non-existent. Weird ass controllers. They played, yeah, well, but yeah. More Sega, onto the Dreamcast. I really like this system. Not a lot of people talk about it. upper half of A tier, yeah. I like the color scheme on it. The games were fantastic. I do like the controllers on it. Yeah, just a wonderful system, and a great segue from the late 90s into the early 2000s in terms of gaming. I really like this. From, yeah, C tier. It's not much in terms of a system, honestly. Tap Life Zodiac, yeah. Oh, God. Yeah, it's hardly it. Yeah, our zone. Yeah. We all know. Gamecom. Wow. Tiger Electronics. They're really not the best at games. I honestly think their entire electronics making operation is a cash grab. Gamecom teetering between D and E tier. But very bottom of D tier. If anything comes into D tier, it's automatically getting bumped down. TurboGrafx 16. I really like the system. I really do. Yeah, it's a good 16-bit. Its graphics, for the most part, on most games, look like more 8-bit, but it was the first technically 16-bit system. Yeah, it's pretty good, honestly. Is it higher than the Genesis? Not a better 16-bit system, but at the time, yeah. Vectrix. You might not think this is much, but I mean, it was a pretty good system for what it was. But because of its limitations in its library, bottom half of A tier, honestly, yeah, it's good there. Wonder Swan Color, yeah, top half of C tier. The original Xbox, I was not overwhelmed by this system. Yeah, that part of B tier. Yeah, under the Magnavox, yeah. Xbox 360, classic. So many 2000s kids just grew up with this. It's really nostalgic, honestly. A tier, S tier. Maybe I should bump the Switch up to S. Yeah. Let's. Yeah, honestly. Yeah. Xbox. Wow. Didn't make as lasting of an impact as its predecessor, but nonetheless, a very good system. Again, I prefer Xbox controllers to PlayStation controllers, but yeah. So there you have it, the finished retro gaming, or retro and early 2000s, or early to mid 2000s video game console tier list. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.